Hey, good evening, everyone. We have some fishing for you on tonight's program. We'll show you a group of anglers enjoying some sucker grabbing in extreme northern Arkansas. And we'll check out the annual smallmouth rendezvous over in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Along with these stories, we'll have a fishing tip for you a little bit later in the show. But first, some folks like to fish white bass runs of tributaries to large lakes. Some enjoy fishing the salmon runs of the Pacific Northwest. And others, like Greg Miller of Ozark, love the sucker run. We went along with Greg as he enjoyed a day of North Arkansas sucker grabbing.
Oh, yeah. Come in. Well, they trying to get back to this part quick.
Coming to you, Ken.
Get
ready. Jerk anytime you're ready. There you go, in the head.
On this trip, Greg Miller was joined by several friends and relatives as he and the others donned their polarized sunglasses and peered into the rippling waters of Yoakum Creek in search of suckers. With the aid of the glasses, it didn't take long before a group of schooling suckers was located, and all hands began casting their grappling rigs into the stream.
Bring them back towards me.
Miller's cousin, Micah Thorpe, says the polarized sunglasses are a near necessity for sucker grabbing.
Oh yeah, otherwise there's a glare on the water, and of course you can't see the fish at all. Now, if you kind of know what you're looking for, there's a shadow there. You could fish without glasses, but if you have your glasses on, you can see the fish really well, especially if the sun comes up high. You can really see them, and then you can start picking out the ones you want that way. See, this size is the good eating size. Greg and I last year we grabbed some that were 6-8 pounds,
Like the spawning runs of salmon and white bass, Miller says the suckers are easier to catch when they are more concentrated for their spring spawning run up into the creeks of North Arkansas.
In the springtime, they start coming up the creeks to spawn, and they come up in hundreds and thousands if you catch the right conditions and the right weather. Usually lasts a month and a half, sometimes 2 months based on the weather. Water temperature is probably the critical element. Here in Yoakum Creek, the water's been running for the last month about 50 to 55 degrees. With this past week of warm weather and today, it'll warm it up to about 60. And that's about when they start spawning. So we're close to the peak. It's probably going to be over pretty soon.
Miller says this annual pilgrimage back to the home of his younger days is a part of his heritage that he would like to pass on to others.
Woo! That's a nice one. You sure did.
But yeah, my grandpa and my father taught me how, growing up here in Carroll County, and trying to pass it on to the next generations. And that's why we've invited several people here that are brand new, that have never done it before, and teaching them how.
Miller has already been successful in passing the tradition of sucker grabbing to at least one relative other than his son.
Greg got me introduced to it. I've been sucker grabbing for about 5 years. And the first time I got hooked on it, so I like to come every year with him. And we have a lot of fun, good fellowship. I enjoy it.
And that's a golden red horse.
Even Greg Miller's tackle has a family connection. Greg's dad designed and fabricated the two-hook grab that Greg still uses today.
Everybody else previous to when I was in kindergarten, I remember used treble hooks, but he came up with this design where you take, actually it's made out of 3 hooks, welded together, and then we put some lead here in the middle, and then paint them orange so you can see them, and then put the sinker up about 18 inches up the line, throw this out, and with this water up here in North Arkansas, it's clear enough you can see when the fish cross between your sinker and the hooks while you jerk, and if you're lucky or good enough, then you catch a big old sucker.
If you think these fish are carp, Miller is quick to point out that they aren't.
They're not carp. A lot of people think they are the same as carp, but they're not. It's a different species. It is the family of sucker. We may have to get Rhea to tell us the scientific name, but primarily here in Yoakum Creek is golden red horse and white sucker, and then occasionally we will find some river red horse, and those get to be the biggest. River red horse will run anywhere from 15 to 20 pounds. The golden red horse will average probably 3 pounds. Some big ones we've caught last year up here went about 6 for the golden red horse. But I think there's a total of like 33 or 36 different species of suckers in the United States, and most of those are found in Arkansas.
Part of the tradition of Arkansas sucker grabbing is the shore lunch. And Miller demonstrated that there is just as much technique and skill to the proper preparation of suckers as there is in the catching of them.
They've got a bun, I call it a bundle bone. I don't know what the scientific name for it is. It's a real spiny looking bone. It floats above the lateral line the entire length of the fish, and there's one even below the lateral line out on the tail section. And if you looked at it, it reminds you of trying to, a pin cushion. I've always said, you got to score them right or you're going to try eating a pin cushion. And you have to fillet them or score them, what we call it. You cut them, the fillet, as close as you can, about 1/8 of an inch or less, all down the fish. That opens up the meat and actually lets the hot grease get to that bundle bone, and it cooks up the bone and dissolves it, and then you can eat them. We will quit about 11 o'clock or get close enough, start cleaning them, and we'll cook on the creek bank here and have suckers for lunch. Usually fry some potatoes and have some beans. It's not real fancy, but it tastes real good, and kind of like some of them old commercials, it doesn't get any better than this.
Our producer tried one of the sucker fillets, and he says they taste as good as Greg claimed they were, and the bones really did cook up in the hot grease. Well, we are headed next to a rendezvous when we come back, and it's a fly fishing get-together. You won't want to miss it.
From the mountains and lakes of northwest Arkansas to the river valley in the Ouachitas, bringing you the area's longest running outdoor program. Welcome to 5 Outdoors.